I limited myself to picking one knife from every brand that I can't live without. That's kind of the challenge here. So this is going to be a top 10 list, but it's going to be 10 different knives from 10 different companies, and in my opinion, the best of each. Let's go ahead and get started. This was a very, very easy choice because I don't think anything this brand makes comes close to the ST152 from Sitivien. So this is made in Bowler K110 and is almost a 4-inch blade with a ridiculous action. Perfect detent, and I mean perfect. I've had knives 5 times this cost that are not this good. Excellent ergonomics. It's got hollowed out liners, nice lock bar access, just a phenomenal knife. But here's the craziest part about this knife. It's $30. 30 bucks. I just made a video on this knife and I think it's a great way to start. Probably the easiest of the knives I've chosen today, the ST152. Yeah, this is an absolute winner. So the next knife is from Ganzo, and this is the 727S. Now, I've tried the larger variant, the medium, and it is probably not quite as good on the action, and I just like the form factor of this thing. Slightly over a 3-inch blade. They somehow found a way to make the ergonomics better than the Ontario Rat Model 2, and it also is a little bit of a bigger handle, making it more comfortable. Crossbar lock, on bearings, 440C, just crazy, crazy good. Now, there was other options from this brand that I considered. This one right here, which is the 740, basically a 4-inch blade. The G740, check this thing out, crazy. But, not really gonna be perfect on the ergonomics. The other one I considered for this is the FB765, another on bearings. But the thing about it is that this pocket clip design, I'm not sure it's universal. Like, I'm not sure I'd find an easy replacement, where this model has the standardized hole set, so you can actually use a bunch of aftermarket clips. So it'll be very, very easy to replace. And so at the end of the day, this is the one that I think is the best of all of the Ganzo lineup. Now we're gonna take a huge and massive jump up in both quality, form factor, just everything. Everything about this knife is damn near perfect. Honestly, I'm gonna call this about as good as it gets for $47. This is made by Miguron, and I'm trying to remember the exact name. I will put it there on the screen, but oh my goodness, incredible. The action is incredible, multiple deployment methods. It has a milled titanium pocket clip that is reversible, and the liners on this thing, extra beefy and milled out, so they kind of keep all the strength, but the way they have done it is just so, well, it's so well done. I don't know how else to say it. There are a couple of knives from Miguron that are in the same class. The Pagos, I think, is the other one that could easily be swapped for this, but for me, I actually prefer this blade shape a little bit more. And yeah, this is an easy pick for Miguron's one and done. Now moving just up a little bit, we're gonna go to CJRB, and this is one of the easiest choices ever, except that the knife you're looking at isn't the one you're thinking. This is actually a prototype and is a model that will be coming out very soon. This is the Pryrite, and it is an excellent knife, but because of its size, it doesn't get carried that often. I just got this, the XL variety. Not only does it sound better, which is amazing, it has that same thin profile, a 3.5-inch blade, excellent ergonomics, choke up point, just ridiculous. This is a home run slam dunk, and I'm sorry you can't get it right now. You can get the smaller variety, but when this does come out, and if you like a larger knife, you gotta try the XL Pryrite. Yes, it won't be prototype, but yeah, you're definitely gonna wanna check it out, for sure. So Civivi doesn't really miss. Even though they've been around for a number of years now, they haven't had a bad knife, like literally. And I've looked. They're very, very, very consistent. And then they continue to upgrade on well-established designs in good ways, like this. This is the Elementum 2. They went from D2 to Nitro V with a button lock and just a slightly changed handle, and it just makes it into a brand new knife. They also come up with new collaborative designs like this, the Sakoke, and holy moly, this knife is phenomenal. Like, actually insane. 14C 28N, excellent, comfortable handle, like, and they use these new materials. This is actually a G10. Really, really excellent. But neither one of these knives I would consider irreplaceable. The one that I'm going to pick from Civivi is actually the Baby Banter. And I'm not usually a small knife person. I'm going to be honest with you. I usually don't carry a small knife. If I'm carrying a folder, it's usually in addition to a fixed blade. I'm sorry, a multi-tool. And so, of course, I would like a larger blade. But this is a great knife if I'm just carrying it alone. It's super light, super small. It fits in that fifth pocket on a pair of jeans. And it is the only knife, I think, maybe in the entire knife industry, that is universally appealing, which is crazy. I showed dozens, if not hundreds of knives to people over the last few months. And when I say people, I'm talking about 20 to 30 people mixed between men and women, different ages, different interests, you know, some EDC lovers, some not. And this is the only knife that seems to have grabbed the most attention. And I've gotten some really cool reactions like, oh, I would definitely carry that, like from my wife. And actually, she has one just like it. And she loves it. She actually loves the knife. And this is not a woman who would normally carry one. And so for me, of all the knives that Civivi produces, I think the Baby Banter might be the most important of their lineup. And it's my hope that other brands catch on to this and start making knives like it. Because this very, very, very subtle curve, it just makes it a lot less threatening and a lot more appealing to a wider audience. So for me, the Baby Banter is the pick. Next up is Kubey, and this is a really easy pick from me. Now, when I reviewed this a while back, it was $70, and I'm like, yeah, that's the problem here, is that's a little bit too expensive for a knife with these materials. And I mentioned in that video, if they drop at $15, it's perfect. And that's exactly what they've done. It's actually $55 right now. And yeah, it's perfect. It's a perfect EDC knife. 3-inch blade with a nice, big, comfortable handle, choke up points. And notice that the handle kind of pulls itself away from the blade. It kind of angles up just a little bit, making it easier to get the edge against a surface. It just is such a well thought out design with a nice stout tip, 14C 28N blade steel, good lock bar access, and the front flipper on this is the best front flipper of any knife I have experienced thus far. The thing is, it's so good, I can catch it basically like it's a back flipper, but it's not, which is so cool. I can barely catch it like that, and it'll go. I can catch it pretty much any part of the length of the blade, and it's going to flip open. And then, of course, you can do all kinds of cool openings, like the Spidey drop. You can do the reverse flick. It has all the right combination, and it even has a reversible clip. So it comes in a variety of different colors, but the Hyde is absolutely the pick from Kubey, and I would not regret it whatsoever. Let's talk Vosteed for just a second. This is the hardest pick of the entire lot. It's not even close. In fact, in my 11 knives that I actually carry, 4 of those knives, three or four of those knives are Vosteed, because it's so ridiculously hard to not carry them. They're so well done. It's crazy. But only one of them I consider irreplaceable. It's this one. It was the first one I got, actually, is the Nightshade. And I've gone back and forth whether I like the flipper tab version or the one with the cutout, and I have that as well. And I think I like the flipper just a little bit better. It's hard to tell. But the shilling cutter design is something I had never experienced before, and it has the ability to be slicey with the full curvature you see, but still have a leading edge So draw cuts are really, really good. It's this weird knife that seems to be viable in a lot of different instances. And I just don't think anything could replace it. And yeah, they make some truly obscene knives like this, the Thunderbird. Unbelievable. You got a more, well, perfectly well done top flipper, back flipper design like this, the Bellamy. I love that hollow grind. That's a good one. That's a good one. And then, of course, you have the front flipper, back flipper in the Corgi with the micarta at about 60 bucks. This thing is obscene as well. But none of them really are irreplaceable except for the Nightshade. So that is definitely my pick from this company. It pains me, but if I had to pick one, it's going to be this one. Next up, it's going to be Benchmade. Now, Benchmade makes a lot of knives, but I have a strong emotional attachment to this one right here. This is the 940, and actually, this is a 940 of someone that, well, passed it on to me. And even if that had not been the case, looking at their lineup, I don't think anything is as interesting to me. And you kind of have to hold one to understand just how comfortable they are. It doesn't appear like this handle should be so comfortable, but it really, really is. And the Osborne 940 has a really good working blade shape. It's got a nice thick tip, a really stout flat grind, and it is just a great, great knife. I've never understood the fascination with the bug out. I don't get it. I think it feels cheap to me, and the 940 feels the opposite in every way. And I would rather have the what the heck is the word for it? Yeah, the Griptilian. I would much rather pick the Griptilian over the bug out as well. But still, to this day, the Benchmade 940 is by far my favorite. No, I wouldn't go with the 945. I much prefer the larger handle, the larger blade. This is something I do carry, and usually complementary to a multi-tool because it has a big enough blade to do all the tasks that I want it to do. It can be reverse flicked. You can flick it open with the crossbar. This is the one I would go with. Absolutely, without question, the Benchmade 940 is the only thing I would ever want from them. Okay, this choice is really, really, really difficult. I had to pick between either the Spydichef or the Native 5 Salt. Now, both of these knives are in my 11 carried knives that I use all the time. Okay, but one of them is irreplaceable. The other one still has like a replacement because I have the quiet carry drift. This can technically fill in for the Native 5 Salt. So because of that, I think that the Spydichef is my pick. Now this is in LC200N, and the whole thing is designed to be as resistant to corrosion as humanly possible, down to the fact that it has titanium screws. So really, really cool knife. I do need to oil this thing. And I just love it. I just love it. This is kind of a vacation knife for me. I use it regularly because sometimes you go somewhere, they don't have kitchen knives that actually function properly. They're not sharpened or otherwise, and I will quite literally use this to make an entire dinner. No problem whatsoever. And I love it. It's a great knife. I got it used years ago for very, very little, and I've been using it ever since. Love, love this knife. I can definitely recommend it, but knowing what it's for. It's not going to be ultra fidgety. It is absolutely a user knife, at least for me. It's expensive, so be aware of that. But yeah, definitely the pick if I'm going to pick a single knife from Spyderco, even though the Native 5 Salt is, well, awesome. Now last, but certainly not least, is the Hogue Deka. Now, with the aftermarket scales like you see here, these are from Original Goat. It changes the knife entirely. I bought the FRN version. It has those weird flexible handles, which I dislike from things like the bug out. But with the aftermarket scales, it changes the knife entirely. In fact, I would take these over the G10 or more premium models So my recommendation is if you're going to get one, get the FRN, the cheapest variant, and get yourself some aftermarket scales with the texturing that you really, really like. These are in aluminum, and they're very, very light. They're nice and firm. There's no flex to them whatsoever. Just phenomenal knife. And on top of that, this is in MAGNACUT blade steel. I just can't say enough. If we're looking at one and done knives, knives that kind of do the whole thing, everything that you could want, this is getting up there. I think that when the, I can't remember what version from Hogue it is. When those larger versions start coming out in MAGNACUT, it might get swapped. I might go from the Deka to one of those. But for now, this is absolutely my pick. I cannot recommend it enough. And here they are, my top 10. Now, each of these brands has a lot of different options, and my personal preference plays a large part in what I chose here. I'm curious which ones you would choose. So in addition to linking everything you've seen in this video, I will also include a list of all of the different brands that you can copy and paste from the description and the pinned comment. So feel free to copy it there and then paste whatever models that you think are better for their respective brand. I hope this was interesting, useful. Let me know. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.